Welcome to Going Deeper. You're here with me. I'm Nancy. I'm one of your hosts on the on the CHOP platform, Church Online platform for Crossroads. And my dad joins me there. Every now and again, you'll show up in the chat and say something like dinner last night or good morning, Nancy.
Yes.
So this is Dad, known in the chat as Ed. And we're going to be talking about John chapter 9. I really love the bumpers.
It was different.
Well, what I like about it is that the intro to the sermon, it really puts you in the place of imagining that you were in the scripture. And so as I read aloud, maybe you can listen and connect with either the disciples or the Pharisees or the man or the neighbors, or maybe you're going to hone in on the words of Jesus and ask yourself, instead of maybe studying the scriptures or seizing something out of the scriptures, what is it that God could seize in your own heart? I think both of us kind of were surprised with what showed up for us when we allowed God to have his way in the scriptures. So I'm going to be reading John chapter 9, verse 1. As Jesus went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," said Jesus, "but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. As long as it is day, we must do the work of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. "Go," he told him, "wash in the pool of Siloam." This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. His neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begging, asked, "Isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg?" Some claimed that he was. Others said, "No, he only looks like him." But he himself insisted, "I am the man." "How then were your eyes opened?" they demanded. And he replied, "The man they called Jesus made some mud and put it on my eyes. He told me to go to Siloam and wash, so I went and washed, and then I could see." "Where is this man?" they asked him. "I don't know," he said. They brought to the Pharisees the man who had been blind. Now the day on which Jesus had made the mud and opened the man's eyes was a Sabbath. Therefore the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. "He put mud on my eyes," the man replied, "and I washed, and now I see." Well, some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath." But others asked, "How can a sinner do such miraculous signs?" So they were divided. Finally, they turned again to the blind man. "What have you to say about him? It was your eyes he opened." And the man replied, "He is a prophet." The Jews still did not believe that he had been blind and had received his sight until they sent for the man's parents. "Is this your son?" they asked. "Is this the one you say was born blind? How is it that now he can see?" "We know he is our son," the parents answered, "and we know he was born blind. But how he can see now or who opened his eyes, we don't know. Ask him. He is of age. He will speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews, for already the Jews had decided that anyone who acknowledged that Jesus was the Christ would be put out of the synagogue. That is why the parents said, "He is of age, ask him." A second time they summoned the man who had been blind. "Give glory to God," they said. "We know that this man is a sinner." And he replied, "Whether he is a sinner or not, I don't know. One thing I do know. I was blind, but now I see." And so again, the Pharisees are so vigilant about making their point that they threw him out of the synagogue. And then Jesus found the man who had once been blind. Jesus heard, I'm picking up from verse 35, Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" "Who is he, sir?" the man asked. "Tell me, so that I may believe in him." Jesus said, "You have now seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking with you." And then the man said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshiped him. And we're going to stop there. If you want to read the rest of that section, it goes on until chapter 10. But and this was one of the sermon study questions that was posed, if you want to check out the sermon study. When you put yourself in that scripture and you thought about all those groups of people, what group of people were you most connected to, or did you feel the scripture was speaking to you through?
Well, I've heard this story and the woman at the well story many, many times. I'm 82. I came out of a Christian family, and the focus was always on the miracle of, in the case of the blind man, him being cured. I thought the uniqueness of the message that I heard Sunday focused on all that happened after he was cured and how people responded to it. And I told you earlier what my initial reaction was. What's wrong with these morons? They can't see a miracle when it happens. And then I was reminded that I'm also one of those morons.
Who reminded you of that? Was that me?
Yeah.
I think I said I could be one of those morons. We could be. How many times have we responded by pointing fingers or by asking the wrong questions?
Yeah, I probably related more to the parents. And I'm not sure why, except that they were, I guess the message I got out of that part of it was that they were very much more threatened than we are about our faith. And it was real for them because they did not want to get kicked out of the synagogue. So they tap danced around what their son experienced and dropped it in his lap to explain what happened. And I love the simplicity of how he explained it. I was blind, and now I see.
This is my story.
That's simple.
There are parts that I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
When you talk about the fear of the parents and wanting to dance around what actually happened, when I think about the parents, there's part of me that has compassion on those parents because they would have been kicked out of their community following their son and their relationship with their son having a whole new, purpose and probably trajectory of his life. Yeah. So what kind of role has community or parent relationships, family relationships played in your own faith journey?
Oh, geez. First of all, I came from grandparents on both sides that were instrumental in helping build their churches. Wakefield Valley Church and Carrollton Church of God. And so I've been a part of that faith culture since I was born.
For you, you're 82. At what point did you feel like, oh, this is not just my parents' faith, I have a personal relationship of my own? And how did that come about?
Well, it's interesting. What I remember that was most traumatic for me was when I married your mother, because she was a woman of very strong faith. And it helped me grow tremendously. And some of the priorities that I still have were priorities that we had. Our church What drew your mother and I joined the church when there were 30 people. Crossroads has just played a significant role in our growth, in my growth.
And so, with community, how has your community impacted your faith?
Well, you're aware that we decided to host a small group from Crossroads. And that turned out to be a much more positive, significant step than either your mother or I thought it would be. Mom had Parkinson's for the last 15 years of her life, and she really struggled with the impact of Parkinson's more toward the end of her life 2 years ago. But she did not want to give up. Small group, and small group wound up playing, not only did she inspire them, but there were people that stepped out of small group. Billy Ward was somebody that, as things got worse with your mother, she showed up every week. So community has played a big part in our faith journey, for sure.
Imagine yourself right in the scripture and have it stir something up in you. Thanks, Dad, for sharing. Those were, I'm sure, tender places in your heart that you shared. So thank you for doing that.
Okay.
And we just encourage you to continue asking God what parts of your own story that you want to share.